Hello everyone and welcome back to another Batman miniature game 3rd edition battle report for the channel, and today the Scarecrow crew is taking another run at it, this time going up against another powerful crew, the Joker crew. It's the same table layout as last time, just been very busy with other coverage so I haven't had time to strip the table and do another one, but we are going to use the opposite table edges from last time to at least mix it up a little bit. I'm sure it will still end up a bit of a scrum in the middle as often happens, but it's kind of fitting with the Halloween theme anyway for Scarecrow making his debut, well not debut, whatever you call a second showing I guess, but trying out a slightly different list as well. This is a list that we'll look at in a second here that I think plays into Scarecrow well, but doesn't use just his models. So actually without further ado, let's just get into it and take a look. So here is the Scarecrow crew I'm trying out this time, although I should point out apparently there was an update to the Batman app on a weekend, which is quite surprising because this is being recorded on a Sunday, and on the iPhone version of the app, when it updates, it deletes your crews. So I'm going to have to go from memory what upgrades both sides had, so that's going to be fun. But we're trying out something a bit different. The Fear Beast is dropped from the list, the 2 Arkham Assistants are dropped from the list, and that is to fit in Clayface with his new 3rd edition updated rules, and then also just to fill the space, we have the Back to Gotham Thug 6. He has built-in bodyguards, so he's going to try and stay around Scarecrow. But the main piece here, along with what was here last time, is Clayface. He starts with undercover as well, so he can deploy right next to Scarecrow. He has built-in bodyguard. His new mechanics with the 3 suspect markers down automatically provides respawn points for him essentially, so he can keep coming back. If there's any less than 3 when he activates, he gets a free manipulate to put 1 down. The nightmares can spawn off of them and they just get moved, they don't get removed. He seems super synergistic with them, even though you wouldn't think Clayface and Scarecrow. But that's what we're going to do. On the note of Scarecrow, I did actually find the broken piece of leg and have done my best to repair him. I added some extra support to the base as well. Still going to be very fragile with him, still going to keep him well away from table edges, because if he ever drops again he is shattering again. Glad I'm not the only one who has had that happen with the new resin. Somebody mentioned in the comments that they found the same thing. It just shatters. I wonder if it's to do with the super glue being used. Either way, Dr. Fright is here, and it is the same person who's in Black Mask's crew, for the record. That's been confirmed. And the 4 nightmares: Nightmare of Fear, Insignificance, Indifference, Demotivate and Anger. That's the ones. Upgrades wise, Dr. Fright has the same 2 upgrades as last time, so a Fear card will be getting added to Scarecrow's objective deck when the match starts, and 1 model in Joker's crew will get the Terror effect immediately before the game starts. And I think that about covers it. The Nightmares had a bunch of upgrades, I don't remember which. I think 2 of them had the ones where, what was it? 1 has the aura that makes, if you enter the 4 inches, you suffer impaired movement. 1 of them had the upgrade where if it spawns, it moves the marker, not the opponent. And then 2 had the other one, I've forgotten the name offhand, the one that makes them like not fragile nightmare, like disposable nightmare. That's the one. And they're going to be in the red and black again. So thankfully for my old man memory's sake, the Joker crew this time around is basically taken up entirely by KG Beast and whatnot. Someone might have had, oh you know what? We'll talk about him properly in a second, but he has a grapple gun and neurotropic drugs. I remember that being the only 2 upgrades. Pimping out exactly 1 henchman. So it's the Back to Gotham Joker with the Back to Gotham Harley this time around, so as leader and sidekick. KG Beast as the free agent, bringing some heavy guns. And then new to the table, we have Street Jesters 1 through 4 from left to right, so 1, 2, 3, 4. As I just said, 2 there's got the only upgrades in the crew, grapple gun and neurotropic drugs. He's got the same katana stat line as Damian Wayne, so they're actually pretty damaging. He can explode when he gets hurt. She's got a gas grenade launcher, and he smacks things with an inflatable hammer. That's the gist of what they do. We'll get into their specifics as we play though, and they'll be in the yellow and black Audacity markers. So we are all set up and good to go at deployment. So the Scarecrow crew is at the top of the table this time to keep them well away from table edges. And there's only 4 of them that are actually on the table, or 3.5, because Dr. Fright is in table support, with Scarecrow and Clayface both having undercover. The Nightmares will come in as we play, like last time. If you want a fuller rundown of how Scarecrow's crew works, watch the last battle report. The Joker crew is down here. Scarecrow's crew does have first activation, and the Joker crew actually has 1 pass, because the Nightmares do count towards working that kind of stuff out, so they're down by 1 man. Audacity wise, Joker has it, KG Beast has it, and the katana wielding Street Jester has it, and so does Harley as well. And then for the Scarecrow crew, everyone except Thug 6 on the table has Audacity, and the fourth Audacity has been issued to the Nightmare of Fear, the Scarecrow looking one. Not to be confusing or anything. Because of Dr. Fright's upgrades, a Fear card is already shuffled into Scarecrow's deck, and one Terror card is in the Terror pile. Scarecrow's unique objective card, the new one that is in play because it comes into play at the start of the game. Again, covered the specifics of this last time, so it's in play. Joker's crew is playing a Phase 2. They are putting into play Psychopaths. With how easy the Nightmares are to kill, I feel like not necessarily in turn 1, but in general this card should be pretty easy to score. So, making use of Clayface's 3 suspect markers, the clay markers that are also suspect markers that he gets to put down when the game begins, the Nightmare of... oh, which one is this? I think this is Insignificance. It's the only one with a ranged weapon that we saw last time. He spawned in, and then the cat clay marker was moved over here by Joker's crew. He's the one with the aura of impaired movement. Imagine him, he's got like a 4-inch bubble of water around him or something. During his turn, after he spawned in without Audacity, he put into play one of Dr. Fright's unique objective cards. So you can only have one in play, and it will tick up 1 every time a card is added to the Terror pile, and will score when there's 5. Good to get that out early. So that will be ticking up, and because of how far forwards that suspect marker was, that put him, well, he's got medium range on his ranged attack, believe it or not, but it also just put him within 12 so he could see his target. He fired his, I don't know, pumpkins of insignificance at the Street Jester. He rolled terribly. He rolled 4 1s and 1 hit, so the 1 hit got through and did 1 stun damage to him. But what's more important is, if you hit this guy, he has a 1 in 6 chance of exploding. Haven't done the roll yet, wanted to do it on camera, so let's see. Oh, very lucky. If that had been a 6, he would have exploded for a 3+ chance to do double blood to everyone around him, which would not have been the most ideal starts for Joker's crew. So it was that Street Jester in question that activated first for Joker's crew. No Audacity. Oh, and as always with Joker's crew, Henchmen with Audacity is just showing intent. They are free to switch it thanks to Chaos Agent, etc. But he activated, didn't take one, but he was within 8 of Joker round that side of the building there. So he had an Inspired Manipulate, which he used after moving up to put down a suspect marker within 4 of that moved one there, making use of the clay marker in their own special way to score a Let Me In on the joke. I think that might be the first time in a while Joker's first activation wasn't to put down a stinky fish via It Doesn't Look Fresh. But he scored that for 2, and both players discard a card. The generic Thug 6 that started up there next to Dr. Fright moved up 8 inches without Audacity. Didn't put down a suspect marker because he's right next to one of the cat markers. He's just moving up to be next to Scarecrow during his turn though, so it wasn't a complete waste. Laying more groundwork for future scoring, which is kind of the Scarecrow crew's thing, honestly. He played a What Do You Fear? Also limited, so only 1 can be in play. This will tick up every time a Fear card is returned to the Fear pile. Currently there's only 1 in the objective deck, but as the game goes on, it's going to get pretty bloated with them, and it will score when there's 4. The Street Jester with the big mallet, also who didn't have Audacity, didn't bother taking one either. He activated, he moved up, and he did the standard Joker play because of finally drawing it into hand there. Putting down a suspect marker with the free Inspire from Joker being next to him and turning it into a stinky fish so it doesn't look fresh is in play. It will score for 2 or poison whoever removes it. So we're back over here because the Nightmare of Anger decided to make itself known. It appeared off of the back of the Clayface suspect marker, which was moved over there. And from where he is able to attack because he has a reach of 4 inches. But first, during his turn, he played a card we didn't see last time called Darkness Embrace. Target an enemy model and place a Darkness Embrace event marker in contact. You have more friendly models with the Nightmare trait within 4 of it than enemy models. And it will score for 2 if that happens. So, the Darkness Embrace is right there. Currently there's 2 Nightmares within, so that's a nice way to kind of, like, if you are piling up your nightmares on one side, which is kind of what's happening so far, that kind of forces the enemies to have to go deal with it, otherwise that's just going to score. So the Nightmare of Anger attacked. He has 2 strength dice because he is devastating, and both those dice were the only ones to get through, going against willpower halved rounding down, but still only counting as attack 2. So the 2 strength dice got through, didn't get the crit, so no true fear, which would have added a fear card to the objective deck. But he has terror built in though. So that is the second card added to the Terror pile, which has given the first pip to New Compound. And he did 2 damage, so now we need to roll to see if he explodes. And once again, we're doing it on camera. He is not exploding yet. He can choose at some point to voluntarily explode, of course, but for now, no. So Joker's crew has been very cagey with its audacity markers because the 4 who have them and are now keeping them, they have not activated yet. So the last Street Jester who didn't have audacity activated did not take it from the other one, just moved up, put down a suspect marker that's just outside of 4 of this one. I'll measure it more exact. That seems more than 4, but I'll measure it to be sure in a second. And it became some explosive chattering teeth with Bite the Dust, and a 3 was rolled. So even if it's a Nightmare's turn, it is going to for some reason bounce towards a figment of its imagination, if that's what happens next activation. But it will blow up in 3 turns. As long as it hits someone, it will score. So the Nightmare of Fear has spawned in on the table now, and he was the only Nightmare to be given audacity. However, not correcting something that happened, it's just an addition to something that happened because there was no reason not to do it, and it literally just happened on Scarecrow's last turn. The Nightmare of Anger did something that caused terror. He did an attack on the explosive guy there. As a result of that, and for 1 resource point, new compound from hand, because there's no point holding it in hand because it takes a while to score and the other one's in play, was played. Because that means that both... Oh wait, no, they have to be within 8 of friendly Dr. Fright. Never mind. If the target... yeah, if you're adding a terror pile, add both. If the target is within 8 of her. Can you still play that even though it doesn't apply? Because I've already removed it from hand, so I guess we'll just discard it. Never mind then. So that is only 2 still in the terror pile, not 3. It doesn't make any difference to what happened in the turn. That was just trying to get 1 extra pip on new compound, but obviously that won't work now. Anyway, the Nightmare of Fear popped in over there, the Scarecrow looking one. He used Inspire Fear as his special action on this poor guy. They're all just picking on the self-detonating Street Jester. He does have a lot of health, not a lot of willpower though. He's willpower 4. So it only failed the test by 2, so he's just scared, but that can help with cards. And specifically, for lack of anything better to do, he put down a suspect marker. They can do that anywhere in their 4-inch radius, although the marker he spawned off of is getting chucked into the corner down there. And he scored as a result of inflicting that scared first. Another card I don't think... Did we see this card last time? Maybe towards the end. Deepest Fears. Place a suspect marker within 4 inches of an enemy model that suffers any effect. The teeth then move towards him 4 inches. So we're finally seeing an audacity marker get used by the Joker crew. Harley activated and shot up the table over here to within 4 of the Darkness Embrace token. Oh, incidentally, he is just within the Scarecrow Nightmare as well. But she went against the Nightmare of Insignificance. Is that the ranged one? Yeah. So went against him, opted to take the 2 cards out of the terror pile, not because she needed any kind of assistance taking him out, but just to give Scarecrow 1 less safety net. So for her trouble, she was poisoned and took 1 blood. She then smacked the Nightmare upside the head, 8 stun damage, even with her willpower being the attack stat, and managed to remove him. So that is a marker on Psychopaths. Now, on the note of Psychopaths, because Clayface's markers are placed at the start of the game, they're not put down by a character doing an action, it seems like that doesn't count for Psychopaths. So it's actually 1-all on that now, because the Scarecrow crew has only put down 1 suspect marker. And, oh, the teeth move towards her 1 inch. So after whoever the Scarecrow crew activates next, they're moving and exploding. So the final Nightmare for this turn at least made its appearance. The Indifference or whatever it is, the blue one doing Hamlet, he spawned in off the back of the suspect marker the Scarecrow one put down, and which was moved down there for the record. And he, during his turn, used his just basic attack. Did not opt to do it on the one that could potentially explode, because if he explodes he's taken 2 Nightmares out. So he did it on Harley. There was a second reason for that as well. It does poison, so her poison's up to poison 2, and he did actually do 2 stun damage. He's devastating as well. And that's the interesting thing with Nightmares, a lot of them have devastating, so really it comes down to just their strength dice, which means it's a bit pointless ever efforting against them. They can effort, but you can effort against them. But there's not much point, because you only need to beat attack 2, and even if you're only rolling 3 dice because of your willpower, you're probably going to get away with it. So it is a bit interesting. Like, there's no point efforting against them, just hope that they don't get crits on their strength dice. Speaking of which, he did not get any crits, so Scarecrow's crew is not getting as lucky with being able to add cards from the fear deck into the objective deck so far. With that, the teeth moved, I think it was 2, don't quite remember, not that far, and have exploded right there, catching barely just this Street Jester for 1 blood of self-inflicted crew-wise damage, but Joker don't care. That still means that this scores. The last Street Jester activated, didn't use his grapple gun or anything like that, just rushed in on the Nightmare that just spawned and attacked him. So because of his willpower, he was counting as attack 2, so he was getting 2 attack dice and the strength dice. with overwhelming, so -1 to defense rolls, heavy handy for rerolls. Thought that would be enough, so didn't effort, and it was not enough. The strength dice was a whiff, even with the reroll and the -1, and he did get 2 attacks through, but his attack counting as so low, the defense dice, even with the -1, the whole 2 defense dice, were able to block the damage. So a nightmare actually took an attack to the face and survived, thanks to the willpower roll as part of its tangible fear, I think it is, the one that has that. So it lived, and that is important, because that means, well, actually it means there's a draw here, currently, because Harley, him, and that Street Jester, yeah, and 3 nightmares. It's currently a draw, and no more nightmares can spawn this turn, so the, what was it called, Darkness Embrace is only scoring if what's left to activate for the Scarecrow's crew can take out someone over there. Second last activation of the turn, no sorry, third last activation of the turn for the Scarecrow crew was Dr. Fright. She moved up 8 over here, just outside of 4 of the cat marker that's hidden behind the car there, and put down a suspect marker for her actual action, or her tactical action, that's the word I'm blanking on, which means her induction rule can kick in when she either places a suspect marker or uses Inspire Fear. She actually ended up doing both, but it can only proc once, and that puts a Fear card in the objective deck, so there's now 2 in there. She then made use of both special actions she's allowed to do, thanks to her scientific. She used Shady Dealings to discard 2 objective cards to try and cycle the deck a little bit, and she used Inspire Fear down here, and this lady down here failed it by 3, so she gets Slow 2 and Terror, and Scared actually, because I forgot they're cumulative, so she is scared as well, but more importantly there is a card in the Terror pile now. During her turn, she played a card we saw last time, and it worked out really well last time. It's okay to be afraid. There's only 1 allowed to be in play. Was hoping to then draw a Fear card off of the back of this, but no such luck. But that's in play until it scores. Well, actually, no, sorry. It's not in play until it scores, on the assumption that someone removes that suspect marker. Then it would fail. But she put it in a place where it's pretty hard for Joker or KG Beast to get to. So the second last activation for Joker's crew was the man himself. He came round here 8 inches, and then used his first load of 2 ammo in his Joker's gun to shoot one of the nightmares, and managed to get past his defense 2, surprising no one, obliterating that nightmare. Now that does a few things. That means that Joker's crew has the advantage around the marker, so it's probably not going to score. It puts 1 more on Psychopaths, so they've got the advantage there. Oh, actually no, it's back to a draw, because Dr. Fright put down a suspect marker. I forgot about that. So it's actually a draw still. But that had the disposable nightmare upgrade that I talked about at the start. When he dies, you discard a card from your deck. Not your hand, your deck. And it was a Fear card of the 2 in there, and it still counts. The Fear rules do state if you discard from your objective deck, it is still played. So this does a bunch of stuff. First of all, you have to do what's on the card. So the Joker crew selects someone with an Audacity marker to suffer 2. KG Beast can take the hit, because he's tough. So he is taking the 2 stun from that. This goes back into the Fear deck, which means State of Fear gets 1 point on it. What Do You Fear gets 1 point on it. And because a Fear card got drawn, It's Okay to Be Afraid has scored in Joker's turn for 3. So pretty decent turn there, despite the fact that does now mean Darkness Embrace is probably not scoring. Clayface activated as the second last activation for the Scarecrow crew in the first long round, as it is these days. He moved up over here. He really wanted to smack one of the jesters, but scoring points is more important. So he put down a suspect marker. That also means that it's currently 3-2 in Scarecrow's favour on Psychopaths. And it also scores a second Deepest Fears, thanks to the effects afflicting that Street Jester from Inspire Fear from Dr. Fright. So, didn't have anything he wanted to do with his special action. He could have done the clay slide to switch places with one of his clay markers, of which there's 2 within range. He didn't have a free manipulate because all 3 are still on the table, so that did use up his tactical action. So that's it. It's over to KG Beast now. Was trying to avoid putting Clayface in the firing line, potentially, of KG Beast, but he'll hopefully be able to take it, and even if he doesn't, he can respawn at one of the markers. So KG Beast did eventually move, not very far, to where you can see him. He had limited options, because even if he was able, he could easily move and shoot one of the nightmares to death, like super easy. That would only make Psychopaths a draw, so there's no way to make it score. I guess he could have moved and hoped he got lucky splitting his shots, because he is in machine gun format, which I don't think I specified, but he starts with machine gun, that's what he's modelled with. But that wasn't much of an option, so instead he just started to get to work on Clayface from where he started his turn, unloaded into him, and managed to do 4 blood, 4 stun, and, oh actually I think he would ignore 2 of that stun. He's got huge, I believe. I think he does, so it'll probably be 2 less stun. He's a 7/7 miniature though, and as I said, he doesn't fully respawn. The way the cat markers work for him is he heals 3, but he does have 3 of them he can bounce between currently. So not much of a turn for KG Beast, to be honest. Psychopaths ain't scoring. Neither is Darkness Embrace though, really. No matter what Scarecrow is about to do, he isn't going to make over here any better than 4 versus 2. Yeah, because no more nightmares can spawn. He'd have to somehow kill 3 of them. That ain't happening. So Scarecrow had a busy turn. He opted to move over here, so he's still got the protection of Clayface at the very least. I don't think the Thug 6 there is in range now. But he went there because he had a really juicy target for his True Fear spray. 3 of them. Oh, there we are. Sorry, 3 of them. And he did manage to hit them all for 1 blood, but that's not so important. The True Fear is the important part. That is 3 fear cards shuffled into the objective deck, meaning that he could score a boo, the first boo, or potentially 4, in the game. So that's scored for 2. Then he made use of his special actions, the 2 he's allowed to do for being scientific. He used Control Through Fear. You target someone within 8 who's scared and move them 4. He moved this Street Jester into base to base with Clayface to make it less likely she's going to get use out of that grenade launcher of hers. Then he did Inspire Fear on this one, got him for 4 over, so that's Scared, Slow, and Terror. So there's now 2 cards in the Terror deck. Pretty effective turn, and that takes us, I believe, to the end of the first round. So at the end of Battle Round 1, we already have a lot of stuff to cover. Forgot to do the roll for the Street Jester there when he took damage from the True Fear spray on camera. Did it off camera, it's a 3 sitting there. He did not explode yet. So, Harley has failed her poison roll. She took 1 additional blood damage. Everyone's healing 1 stun. Clayface also healed 1 blood. He has regeneration. All of the cards in play. Scarecrow didn't really score that many cards that round, but he does have a lot of cards just sitting and slowly ticking up. But Darkness's Embrace does not score. Joker made sure of that. So that means What Do You Fear, New Compound, and State of Fear are still in play. And he is scoring a Phase 4 though. Then Dawn comes, because there's at least 1 fear card in the deck. I believe there's still 3. He's also ending the turn with 2 cards on the Terror pile as well. For Joker's crew, it doesn't look fresh. Scores for them for 2. But Psychopaths does not. I think by only a difference of 1. But it does not. Going ahead though, or in the rounds ahead, it's going to be much easier, I think. So here we are at the top of Battle Round 2. There's 1 Phase 1 card being played by the Joker's crew. It is Let's Dance. So that's a little bit of protection for the Joker, KG Beast, and Harley. If they get attacked, it's going to be worth 2 points to them. So that's in play. And that's it. So we can just look at who has Audacity. Oh, the Joker's crew is going first, unless they pass. KG Beast has it, Joker has it, the 2 katana wielding Jester has it, and so does the grenade launcher one over there. For Scarecrow's crew, the man himself has it, Clayface does, Dr. Fright, and Thug 6. None of the nightmares on or off the table have Audacity. So with that, let's get on with it. So it was the Street Jester with the gas launcher that activated, but she didn't use her gas launcher. The reason she had Audacity was that she could do some other stuff after unleashing as a special action Joker's toxic gas. So it did Enervating 1 and Poison to every other model within force. So Clayface, the other Street Jester, and Scarecrow are all poisoned and have Enervating 1. She had -2 to her movement because of getting scared last turn, but it didn't really matter. She moved over here and has put down a Stinky Fish. So that is now in play on that one, and will score if it's not removed by the end of the turn. The Nightmare of Insignificance popped back onto the table for Scarecrow's crew for their first activation. Oh, that suspect marker has to be moved 4 inches, we'll do it in a second. So that's where he popped in, and then from there he fired his beams of insignificance, I don't know, into the Street Jester over here, got him for 3. He is not dazed, he's 1 away from being dazed, but he got the crit. So not only does it do Scared as standard, but True Fear kicked in. So a fear card was added to the fear deck, allowing him to score the second boo of the game, I believe. And in trying to draw back up to 4, drew a fear card. So this is going back into the fear deck. So that's 1 on State of Fear and What Do You Fear. Joker once again had to pick someone to take 2 stun with an Audacity marker. He decided to take it on himself. So that is that. All that's remaining is, does he explode for taking damage and for being out of focus? Oh no, he actually does explode. Okay, well I believe it's a strength die 3+ for everyone within, was it within 4? That's going to take out some of his own nightmares. Well, he's definitely dead, so I don't need to leave the damage markers on him. Let's just take a look here. Roll a d6, on a natural 6 he explodes. Center the explosive template on him. Okay, so it's explosive template, not 4 inches. It is a 3 plus strength die, and it's 2 blood, 1 stun. And then he's just dead. Hang on, I have the explosive template right here. Okay, that's not so bad. I thought it was 4 inches, which would have been ridiculous. So only Joker and the 2 katana guys. So Joker, nope. Double katana guy, yes. So he's taking 2 blood, 1 stun, and he has explodinated. But that is actually a good thing. It's going to force me to come over here for a second, because Joker was sitting on an expendable card. So during that Nightmare's turn, he can score that for 1, so it's not a complete loss. Well, with that explosive damage done to him, the double katana Street Jester is actually pretty close to death. He's a glass cannon. He can do a lot of damage with those double blood katanas. Heavy, overwhelming, something or other. Sharp as well, probably. But he isn't that tanky, so he can go down pretty easy. So he activated to get a turn, and he didn't use his katanas at all. He used his grapple gun to shoot all the way across the table over here to put down his suspect marker. Also to kind of get him a bit safer. Anyone wanting to kill him is going to have to backtrack now. Putting that there within 4 of Thug 6 has meant that Let Them In on the Joke scores. However, as a double layered joke, after discarding a card and having to go back up to 4, Scarecrow's crew drew a fear card. So a terror card, or terror effect has been done. There's now 3 terror cards in the terror pile, and that is the 3rd of the 5 required for Dr. Fritawa's unique card to score. Scarecrow activated and had a very busy turn. You can see where he ended up over on the left there, but let's cover what he actually did before moving, because moving was the last action he took. He had Audacity. He started by Inspiring Fear in the Street Jester right in front of him, and managed to do Terror, so there's another card in the Terror pile. I can't remember if I ticked up Dr. Fritawa's card. I don't think I did. I think it's up to 4 now. It still doesn't score yet. It's needing 1 more. And thanks to Induction for using Inspire Fear, he also put a Fear card in the Fear deck. He then used his Scythe, his Double Blood Sharp Bleed 2 Scythe, and attacked. Now he gets free efforts for every card in the Terror pile, and there's currently 4 cards in the Terror pile, so he maxed out his efforts. The Street Jester did 2 to try and counteract that slightly, but he's also only defense 2, so don't let the amount of damage Scarecrow just did there make you think that he's super tough, because he's not really. That's why he needs people to protect him. But he did do 10 blood, so he killed him not once, not twice, but 2.2 times, I think. And because he scared him first, he scored a card I don't think we've seen yet. I don't think this was in the deck last time. It's called Endless Torment. Remove as a casualty an enemy model that's inflicted with Scared, which he did with Inspire Fear because it's cumulative. Only need to fail the test by 1 or 2 to get Scared. The Terror was just a nice, extra thing on top. Because when Joker does decide to take cards out of the Terror deck, and he's going to have to soon, he can only take at most in 1 action 3. So that means there's still going to be 1 left. And Scarecrow moved over here so that he is still within bodyguard range with Clayface. He still has the bodyguard Thug over there. There's no nightmares within distance that he can put wounds onto them, but it shouldn't matter. Well, Joker is running a little bit low on manpower now, so the man himself activated and used his tactical action to put down a suspect marker because he had to. And then he moved around here. Well, he didn't literally have to, but got to score points, and his hand currently is not great. So put that down, it became Explosive Teeth, and he rolled a 1. So after whoever Scarecrow activates next, it is going towards him, and it is exploding. Dr. Fright activated, and she also had a very long turn with lots of stuff counterplaying and playing each other. So let's go through this. She moved where you can see her, which does indeed put her friends in danger. Have not moved the teeth yet. We'll do that live after talking this through. She went over here, and she put down a suspect marker first. That's the important part, which meant Induction kicked in, so a Fear card got added to the objective deck, it got shuffled. Then she used Inspire Fear on Joker. Now, Joker is a psycho, and that roll used to mean you were immune to willpower rolls. It got nerfed to just be a -2 to the result, but he's within 4 of a nightmare, so Insidious kicks in, so that he is +1. So it still nets a -1 benefit to him, and as a result he did eventually pass the test. But upon doing this, It's Okay to Be Afraid was played as a resource, so they have to take an effort or automatically fail the test by 5 if they're affected by the Insidious rule from a nightmare. Joker opted to do the effort, and that's as a result he easily passed his willpower test. So then, Dr. Fright played It's Okay to Be Afraid, a different instance of the card. The other one is over here, so there's two instances. Played this as an objective, because she'd played the suspect. Actually, I think you're supposed to play it when you play a suspect, right? Yeah, when you play a suspect. Either way, the result still would have been the same, because that drew the other one into the hand. So I mentioned it in the wrong order, but still, did it in the right order during play. And then she used Shady Dealings. Discard 2 cards from hand, draw 2 cards. The 2 cards she drew, 2 fear cards. Put them into action, put them in the deck, drew back up to 4, 2 more fear cards. So the Katana guy got moved a total of 4 inches twice, for 8 inches towards his nearest friend. Although actually I just realised Harley was technically closer than Joker, so he should be over here. He was also given the scared effect, although actually no, now he can't be, because he's not near a friendly suspect marker. It would have to be her, because she's the only one near a friendly suspect marker, as in a Scarecrow suspect marker. I've forgotten what the fourth thing was. Oh, someone within 4 of a friendly model, of an enemy model, gets extra damage die next time he rolls. That got given to Clayface. So one It's to Be Afraid got discarded because it was used as a resource. Gone. The other one that she put into play, I think that Shady Dealings combo when you play this is so good. Didn't expect to get 4 of the cards though, but that scored for 3. And on that note, we come around here, 4 cards are getting returned to the fear deck. So that means that State of Fear is maxed out, so it will score when someone finds the time to actually play it. And What Do You Fear scores right now. So it's more than enough. So that was 6. Dr. Fright had an amazing turn there. After all that, I still forgot to cover the teeth. They moved 2 inches towards Dr. Fright, and from where they are, they catch no one. So that is just discarded without scoring. Well, things are not really going well for Joker's crew. KG Beast activated, but he was relegated to putting down a suspect marker. To reveal a suspect marker. I just realised Dr. Fright is on top of a fish, so I'm not sure if he can place it, but it's via so long it's been a gas, so it doesn't say you're allowed to ignore the minimum distance, but I don't think any of their models can put a suspect marker down that wouldn't be within 4 of one of their own, so we'll just do it. So he removed the suspect marker that Dr. Fright put down. That damages her for 1 of the 5 she needs to be removed, I believe, which means Joker's crew has to pick a friendly to put a suspect marker down and suffer enervating 2. KG Beast did it, and that has scored for 2. But it does waste a turn where he could have been murdering something. So, but there was no point going after Clayface because he would just respawn at one of the cats. Things are not looking good for Joker's crew. They've not scored a lot, and they're low on numbers now. The Nightmare of Demotivation popped back up onto the table. The suspect marker he popped up off of was moved over there, and he attacked with his demotivation magic powers or whatever, I don't know. He did it on the Street Jester here, only got 1 of the 2 strength dice he rolls through for 1 stun, poison, and that is it. Oh, apologies, that is not it, because there's no harm in him putting another Darkness Embrace into play, because he's not playing anything else. So he put the event marker in base to base with her, but he just attacked. So right now it's a draw, 1 nightmare, 1 person, but if a terrible accident was to befall her in some fashion, then him just being there might be enough. So thanks to all those casualties and whatnot, Joker is down to his, well, and also because they went first, Joker's down to his last activation. It was Harley, and she didn't have Audacity. There was no room for her to have Audacity this turn, so she moved over here into base to base with 1 of the clay suspect markers and is not doing anything else with her turn. So for Scarecrow, another reason she did that incidentally was to get out of range of these 2 nightmares, because they have not activated. They could technically put down a suspect marker, I guess. Well, one of them could. Or actually no, one of them could put it like over here, one could put up there. Don't know if they want to do that yet, we'll see. But they've still got to go, and so does Clayface. Oh, and the Thug 6 actually, so there's actually a lot of Scarecrow activations left. So of those 3, Thug 6 went first. He is just moving up to keep Scarecrow safe. During his turn though, he's going to try and cash out State of Fear, because why not? So no matter what type of card is drawn from the top of the pile, I'm just doing that here, unless it's a Fear card, it will score. So it's a cog type, which would have needed 5 or 6. Technically it has more than 6 on it right now. So that is discarded, but State of Fear scores for 3. Clayface was the last activation of the turn that matters. The 2 nightmares up that end of the table are not going to activate and do anything. They're not putting down suspect markers. In theory, if the nightmare, no, I think he only has bluff or taunt. That's not really that relevant. If one of them could do Inspire Fear within range, but I don't think there is anyone in range. Clayface decided to go take care of this problem over here. She is a 4/4 miniature, defense 3, and she'd already had 1 stun on her. He's doing blood stun with devastating and handy. So all said and done, 4 hits for 4 blood, 4 stun. She was both knocked out and murdered. And Endless Torment could score off of that because she was scared earlier in the turn. And when trying to drop to full hand, the fear card was drawn. And there wasn't really many viable targets for this one. So the ranged Nightmare has been given the buff even though we can't make use of it. That was the last fear card in the deck currently though, which means the phase 4 can't score now. But what can you do? They still scored on 2 and removed yet another activation for Joker. This Joker crew is falling apart and KG Beast is not pulling his weight. Oh, before we go into the end phase of Battle Round 2, the Joker can at least do something about it. With that henchman dying, she was poisoned, so seasoning the mix can score. Does not matter if it's a friendly or an enemy as long as someone dies while they're poisoned. So at the end of Battle Round 2, things are most definitely falling apart for the Joker's crew. There's only him, KG Beast, Harley and 1 of the Street Jesters left. And the Scarecrow crew can keep, of course, bringing back the Nightmares as they're taken out. And Clayface can keep regenerating himself as well. So, yeah, it's tough. Of the cards in play, New Compound stays in play for Scarecrow's crew with 1 terror card left to go in before it procs. On that note, Joker's crew needs to waste an activation getting cards out of that terror pile because otherwise they're not going to score anything. Darkness Embrace, it does score because the only person blocking it was removed, so 1 Nightmare was enough that it scored. For Joker's crew, the Stinky Fish scores, also for 2, so essentially writing each other out. Let's Dance does not score though. The only damage was Joker efforting himself, that does not count, so everything else is fine. Oh, actually, you know what? Didn't do poison rolls. I'm gonna have to do those quickly. Clayface, 6. He's fine. Harley, 5. She's fine. Is that it, right? Because the other... Oh, Scarecrow. Ooh, Scarecrow takes 1. 1 blood for Scarecrow from poison. With that, into Battle Round 3. So here's the board state at the top of the penultimate round, Battle Round 3. Joker's crew is taking first activation again, unless they opt to pass, because it's 4 versus 8. I think now... Very outnumbered, it's going to go fast. There is a phase 2 card being played, it's by Joker, and it is another Psychopath. That's the only card being put into play. You can just put that there and quickly take a look. So the 4 survivors for Joker's crew have Audacity, obviously. For Scarecrow's crew, I think it's the same 4 again. Clayface, Dr. Fright, Scarecrow himself, and the Thug. None of the Nightmares, because they don't really need it, honestly. So, no other cards to talk about. Let's jump in. It's a very interesting activation to get round 3 started. The double katana wielding Street Jester, the last one standing, went after this Nightmare over here hoping for an easy kill. Now the dice have already been rolled and it looks like he should kill it. Forgot though, he was wanting to help Joker out by removing 3 cards from the terror pile, leaving only 1, because he needs some more cards to score, to be frank, because he is getting through his deck now. And he did all 3 cards that were in, well, the top 3, I don't know about the 4th one, but these 3 were all of the gun type. And 2 pretty good ones that are denying him 5 points, so it is good he got those back. But because they're all gun types, they each do 1 blood to him, meaning that the attack never happened, because in trying to face his fears he succumbed to them and did 3 blood damage to himself somehow, or I don't know, got stabbed, and he's dead. Now, the result he wanted there was to get 1 on Psychopaths by killing the Nightmare. With him dying, there's still 1 on the 1 on Psychopaths. So he got what he wanted, just not in the way he wanted it. The Nightmare of Insignificance activated, and all he did was do his negative waves or whatever he's doing onto Joker. Only did 1 stun, but did inflict scared on him. Didn't score any cards or anything like that, just building towards scoring stuff later. So we're staying where we were because Joker activated, of the 3 other people left, and shot the last of his ammo into his Nightmare. Didn't bother putting the damage down, just needed 1 die to go through. Eviscerated him, explodinated the Nightmare if it isn't real, and put 1 more on Psychopath as a result, before retreating around here. Dr. Fright activated, moved over here and popped down a suspect marker in the doorway there. Joker is just on the other side of this building, right there. It is within 4 of him, and that is important because that means Deepest Fears scores for 2. And because of her induction rule for putting down a suspect marker, she put a fear card in the objective deck. She then tried to inspire fear in KG Beast, who is not getting any debuffs from Nightmares because he's not within 4 of any of them, for Insidious, and he passed his roll, so no negatives there at all. Harley Quinn was up there and ended up rocketing. Actually, no, sorry, she was in the middle of all the vehicles there. She eventually rocketed down the table to be with Mr. J, but not before revealing the clay marker she ended base to base with. last turn. So that means Clayface has a free manipulate when he activates now. But for Joker's crew at least, it's the second so long it's been a guess. She then darted down here next to, well, in this iteration, her boyfriend. So she scored at least, but that only leaves KG Beast. I don't see any way they're going to catch up, but we're playing it out anyway. Scarecrow activated and moved down here. He's still within the safety of being able to pass off a wound to the Nightmare, Clayface, or Thug 6, so he feels relatively confident that KG Beast can't get him. He tried to inspire fear in KG Beast, failed. He's not falling for that stuff. So instead he simply put down a suspect marker because he needed to guarantee a fear card going into the objective deck, and he can do that via induction. And that means he could score a second boo. I think that's the second one scored of the 4 in the deck. So another easy 2 points for them. And it's over to KG Beast unless he passes for the last turn for Joker already this turn. So there wasn't much for KG Beast to do. He wants to score cards. The points are important. So he came down here and removed the suspect marker that Dr. Fright put down. That's another point of damage to her. Don't think it's going to matter. Scores the last iteration of So Long It's Been a Gas as well. He, Joker and Harley, I believe, all now have Enervating 2. Forgot to mark it, but I think they do. On that note, I think earlier in the game when Let Them In on the Joke scored, I think it was off of him doing something, and it shouldn't have, because he doesn't have Trickster, naturally, and he's not a henchman, so he doesn't get it off of Joker. So if that happened, they're actually down 2 points more than what they currently have. That's it for Joker's turn. For the Scarecrow crew, those 2 Nightmares, no, he's already activated, I think. Oh, actually, no, that was last turn. That Nightmare gets to activate Clayface and the Thug. I'll see if they can do anything that will actually score points. If not, they might just do a little bit of shuffling around. Alright, we can quickly just wrap up what those actions were, because there wasn't much to it. Clayface activated and kind of slid his way along here. Used the free manipulate from not having 3 clay markers down to put that down, and because he was within 4 of a poisoned Harley Quinn, I think he's even within 4 of poisoned Scared Joker. The last instance, I believe, of Deepest Fears scored, and then when Thug 6 activated, he just moved. He's literally just there to take a hit for Scarecrow. During his turn, though, another What Do You Fear was put into play. Probably not enough time left in the game for it to score, because I don't think they can generate enough fear cards into the deck. I think there's still 2 in there now, though. No, 1. There's 1 in there. But those 2 Nightmares over there, they're not doing anything. Neither is he. We're just going to go to the end phase. So at the end of a very quick round 3, Clayface is the only one to have taken 1 blood from his poison. He can use his regeneration just to heal it, though. There is a phase 4 card being played. It's the second and only instance left of the Dawn Comes. There's actually more than 1 fear card left in the objective deck. Check to make sure. So that has scored for 2. No additional cards played by Joker, but the Psychopaths in play does score for 3. There's still 1 terror card left in the terror pile if he chooses to try and get rid of it. It's going to be a real quick final round. I'm not even sure what Joker can do at this point. They're swooping in on him, but we'll jump into it and see. Dawn of the final day, top of Battle Round 4. It's going to be real quick. We might just summarise some stuff, because I don't think Joker, even if he scored his entire hand, I'm not sure he can catch up. He is playing 2 cards though. He's playing phase 1 and a phase 2. Let's Dance came into play, so that is a little bit of protection, because the 3 people left on the table are the 3 covered by this card. If any of them take damage, it will score, so that at least deters the Scarecrow crew murdering them. And Psychopaths, last instance of it, put into play as well. With all the suspect markers the Scarecrow crew already has down, there is a chance that Psychopaths will score. Nothing played for the Scarecrow crew. Joker has first activation if he wishes to use it. Let's see what happens. Alright, maybe I spoke a little bit too soon. Joker activated. He went up against the Nightmare of Anger. Didn't bother putting the damage markers down. He used his poison knife and got him. That put 1 on Psychopaths. He then played Let Them Do Their Thing, one of the cards that was in the terror deck that he managed to get back into hand. He has picked that suspect marker right there. It moved 5 in the direction he chose, which was over here approximately, doing 2 stun to this Nightmare and Scarecrow. This Nightmare is out of there as well for a second 1 on Psychopaths, and Let Them Do Their Thing scores for 2. So that was honestly a pretty decent turn. Well, Dr. Fright reminded everyone that she is also capable of doing a lot of stuff. She activated, and oh, you know what? She should have put down the suspect marker that she already removed, that was removed last turn by KGB. She wanted to put it back, which did induction for a fear card into the objective deck. Upon playing it, It's Okay to Be Afraid was put into play, and she used Shady Dealings as a special action. 2 fear cards got drawn, one of which does the terror effect, one of which does Scared. So that means that It's Okay to Be Afraid immediately scored for the 3, and it also means New Compound ticked up and has finally scored. I think I may have been off by 1, so I accidentally counted that to 6. Either way, it has scored now. So casually, just like that, she's also scored 5 points. So it's not looking good. Again. So this is what's known as a spite activation, because really the game is over. KG Beast is using the last of his ammo, or has used the last of his ammo. I haven't bothered flipping the tokens. Attacked Scarecrow, bodyguarded onto Thug 6, obviously, because Scarecrow would have died otherwise. And I believe it was 4 blood, 4 stun, plus the one he has to take to do, or the one effort he has to take the bodyguard, but he's only 4 endurance. As I say, he's literally there to take 1 hit for Scarecrow, and that 1 hit has been done. That means Psychopath is up to 3, so it will score. Harley could go beat up a Nightmare just to guarantee it. I don't think we need to play on at this point. Just looking at Scarecrow's hand, the cards in play, well, the What Do You Fear in play, that's not going to tick up. There's not enough models on the enemy team to score a City in Fear. Technically, Scarecrow could activate and get Boo just by induction. He could just run off into a corner and put a suspect marker down because he's got 14 inches of movement. So we'll say a Boo scored and just call that there, with Psychopath scoring for Joker as well. They've definitely lost. I love that the Scarecrow crew is powerful, but I think they might be a bit too self-sustaining. So we'll talk about it more in a second, but let's see what the technical final scores are. Might give or take 2 points either way, because there technically was some activations left, but look at the difference in the size of these piles. Like, I think the Joker crew did fine, but how do you compete with that? It's just, it's not possible, especially when a lot of the cards are worth 3. Still, let's do it officially. So that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. Like, it's weird that 27 is a bad score, because 27 is a lot, but it's not going to be enough. 100% is not enough, but 27, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43. Is that even more than last time? Good grief. That is too much. Now, I was thinking about this. I wasn't sure if Night Models were planning with the beta cards in the future to take the game to 30 in terms of like the cards you have for a game, or was it 30 to pick from? Apparently they are considering going up to a deck size of 30, so I could see this deck, because it came with 30, being balanced for that. And that is important, because if you have 30 cards to shuffle through instead of 20, when you add fear cards, you're less likely to quite quickly recycle them into your hand. So I think, because we're still working with 20 until such time as the beta cards are not beta and are properly released as a thing you can buy, Scarecrow's deck has a little bit of an unfair advantage, because I feel like the fear deck mechanic is balanced around a deck of 30, not 20. 10 cards does make a difference, and plus any, extra character cards. So I feel like that might be doing them a bit too much of a bonus, although that said, by themselves they are still exceptionally powerful, which I'm glad about, but I don't think they should be scoring 40 odd per game in a 20 card deck. I feel like a lot of his 3 cost, or 3 victory point cards are a bit too easy to score. Yes, they build up over time, but it's very hard not to build them up over time when he's so self-sustaining. Like, I thought the weakness to him was kill Scarecrow. Dr. Fright is really, really good. Like, I am curious now how the deck would do with her being the boss and have Hugo Strange instead, because Hugo Strange is interchangeable with Scarecrow because they're both worth the same rep cost. He's a free agent, but he has stuff that helps out the Scarecrow crew as well, and any deck. He can be with any crew, I mean. So, I am curious how that would perform. I thought he was the linchpin, kind of similar to the Batman Who Laughs. Like, remove him, you're done. After this one, I'm not so sure. I think I went a bit OTT with trying to protect him this time, honestly. Having Clayface is really good. Thug 6, he was just filling space, basically, but the fact he had Bodyguard is really nice. Against the deck, or against a crew where there wasn't a lot of, KG Beast was there to kill Scarecrow and didn't really get the chance. Like, KG Beast definitely held the Joker crew back. If you didn't bring him, you could have had an okay gun on like Ace of Spades or something and still had 3 other henchmen. Didn't want to bring too many of them just because of how long the game would be. Thought KG Beast would be a genuine threat, but that isn't the way it turned out. Against League of Assassins, they were having a tough time too because their deck isn't focused on killing. So there's no real point to go after the Nightmares because they just keep coming back. Well, the Psychopath cards here definitely were benefited by them. I'm just trying to think who else would... They would be easy marks for Prey with Court of Owls. And Court of Owls would love having Nightmares to go against because they could just murder and murder and murder them every turn. Because I think like every Talon has pretty decent willpower. At least 7, I think. Maybe 6. But even then, with their knife needing 2 blocks to block 1 built in, yeah, they would love going against the Scarecrow crew with a lot of Nightmares in it. And I'm trying to think anyone else beyond that they could easily counter. I am curious how Mr. Freeze crew would do against them, because Mr. Freeze is also a very powerful deck. He has a lot of shenanigan mechanics with the freezing. Although Scarecrow crews, they don't need to reveal suspect markers. If you brought Clayface, Mr. Freeze would do well against him, but that's very niche. Yeah, I feel like they're in a position where they're too powerful, which is both a good thing and a bad thing, because it's fun that they're so OP, but I really like the crew. But ideally you want balance, but I think they're balanced for the version of the game we're not quite at yet, until the beta is an actual release, and every crew has 30 cards to pick from. They're limited in what generic cards they can pick, and more characters have unique cards that are worth 3 or more, so... I don't know, interesting, I'm rambling. Another win for Scarecrow's crew. I will talk about the salvaging of the man himself in the next Getting Stuff Painted, whenever that goes live. Either this Thursday or next Thursday, probably. So look out for that. I've done my best with him, and he's now very... I'm very wary of touching the model at all. Got to be real careful with it. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please do show your support, and if you want to go above and beyond and consider becoming a channel member or pressing the thanks button, it is all reinvested in the channel. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I shall see you next time. Ta-ta for now.